Hi, everyone. This is Jenny Moness from We Didn't Turn Out Okay podcast. Did you know at Great Wolf Lodge, there's adventure for the whole family? You and your pack can splash away in the indoor water park where it's always 84 degrees. There's a massive wave pool, a lazy river, and tons of water slides for your pack to enjoy together. And the fun doesn't stop there. Get ready to explore and play at adventure-packed attractions from Magi Quest, a live action game that takes place throughout the lodge to the Northern Lights Arcade. There's also a bunch of great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. And the best part, with 23 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from adventure. As a parent who loves family adventures, I love when everything's in one place. It's why I can't wait to take my family to Great Wolf Lodge. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Book your stay today at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
I lost my eyelashes. I lost most of my hair through the therapies. All my veins collapsed. I couldn't go to the parties, right? I was in a sorority. I'm not going anywhere.
How did you go from being in Big Pharma to now being in this wellness space, which is complete opposite of what you started in?
The year I was there, Pfizer launched Viagra, Zoloft, Trovan, Zithromax.
So you were on the dream team.
Let's be honest. Viruses can be man-made. You can make retroviruses and different things. The theory is you can utilize those to make people healthier. The problem is if you kill them during that process, to me, that's not helping humanity. I tell people this all the time, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty when you're obese. Don't feel guilty when you have depression, anxiety, or neurological issues. It's because there's so much trash in your body. You've got to clean it out.
Oldish. The art of knowing more and caring less. With your host, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
What's up, Oldish listeners and watchers? We have an incredible episode for you today, an absolute powerhouse of a guest. She is, now let me read this off. She is a scientist, an author, an entrepreneur, an inventor with advanced studies in fields including nanotechnology, pharmaceutical management, nutrition, psychology, education, and philosophy. That's not intimidating at all. And she is also the formulator behind the Root brands. She's worked inside Big Pharma. She's battled cancer multiple times, Lyme's disease, and now she is on a mission to help people heal by getting to the actual root cause of what is making us sick. We talk about toxins, we talk about hormones, we talk about Big Pharma and viruses, all the effects on the body, what you could be doing, and the things that you need to know about the wellness industry. This is an incredible episode. Get ready. You're going to love it just as much as we did.
Okay, so first of all, we're already recording. So Christina Rahm, welcome to Oldish. Nice having you here. It's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so 92 countries, and we were just talking about naps.
Yes.
That you can't take naps.
No, but my mother
really
and my father can take naps, and all my sons. I cannot take naps, no.
Yeah.
I wish I could, though. I'm not bragging about that because I would love to be able to.
It is good for you, but I'm like
is.
you. I can't switch my brain off. I've got too much going on. The daytime is for doing things.
Yeah, I know some people that do power naps that can do like half hour, 45 during the day and then snap awake and like get back into and I cannot.
And I'm jealous. And I'm not jealous of a lot of things, but I wish I could do that because it's better for you psychologically from a cognitive performance perspective, but I just can't.
Yeah. I don't know how you could be jealous of many. You've done so much. You do so many things. Your brain is like this miraculous thing. As I'm learning about you, it's fascinating, and I'm so excited to get to talk to you today. And as we were just saying before we pressed record, it could go so many different ways because
this is going to go sideways a million times over. But that's fine.
That's fine.
But welcome to Oldish. That's what
unfortunately
that's what Oldish people do. Yeah. They tend to wander off into different conversations.
Isn't that true?
Constantly.
So true. And unfortunately, the smart one of us, Randy, he's not here today. So you're dealing with Brian and I.
Or fortunately, because it might be really fun off-roading on this one.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
He tends to kind of steer us back because he's very health and wellness wellness oriented and diet and
He's so good at
exercise
it.
and all that. He's very disciplined and all that, and I am not.
We have
I
a lot
would-
to learn, and
I
we're
would
about
eat
to.
Hot Pockets all day long if they were good for you. So
It's not quite that bad. Let me say it's not really that
I'm
bad.
not sure I
not
would
quite
I would
that
not
bad.
allow it.
okay, fine. I eat Erewhon versions of.
I was going to say, what's it?
Yeah. The
Exactly.
$57 Hot Pocket.
Right, yeah. We do like nice sandwich press Hot
Yeah.
Pockets.
We do.
Okay, so I wanted to start with you about your beginning because I feel like there are a lot of things in common between your story and mine. I mean, they're different, but they're the same in the sense of I know you went through Lyme disease, you went through cancer a few different times, right? So you've gone through health stuff. And then you've come up out of that, which is unbelievable. But there's also the psychological part of it, which I know that's what gets a lot of people.
Yes.
I know for me, that was one of the things that I always tried to maintain a certain psychological, keep my head up
Yes.
during all of it. Because it was easy to get down and really get frustrated and start feeling like I can't do this anymore. And you just want to lay down and go to sleep.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's tough. And my first beginning of my education was psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I would say there were days I didn't want to get out of bed, and where I felt sorry for myself because I had this big life planned on being an artist, going to parties. I'm being honest. Like I used to say, I used to be a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it woke me up. It changed me because I had to understand that my health was the most important. And so Lyme disease was really a critical, like someone asked me earlier today, what was that like? Because I'm older, right? So when I was diagnosed with Lyme disease, I was 19 years old, one of the first cases. And so my own parents, like, and doctors were like, is that even real?
Did they ever figure out how you contracted that in the first place?
Yeah, I got in. It's interesting. That's a loaded question for me because I used to work in pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
Yeah, which we're going to get to that.
Great,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's a loaded question.
should
Did
we
my
circle
husband
back
tell
to that one then?
We're definitely going to circle back
We'll
to that
circle
one.
back.
All right.
But yeah, no, I was at the best time in my life. I mean,
Right.
I was going out.
Okay.
It was a time in my life I was probably, this sounds so weird to say I've never said this, but like my happiest, most popular, like everything's going great. Life's wonderful. I had money. I had nothing was going wrong.
Responsibilities were kind of like on the side.
Oh
It
no,
was-
I'm just having fun,
sure.
right? And I am just really having fun all over the United States.
Yeah.
God,
And
those days. They were good
do you
days,
remember
weren't
those
they?
days? Yeah.
They were a while ago, but they were good
Yeah,
days.
that's why when one of my kids does something, like if there's a hickey or someone is out
You're
late,
like, good on you.
I was like, I was there before.
Yeah.
I try to remind
That's
myself.
living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but people thought people back then thought that was crazy. Like I did a podcast with Maria Menounos. I'll never say
Yeah.
she's so awesome and I
Yeah.
love her.
She's great.
People thought you were crazy. What do you mean you have Lyme disease? What is that? And where did you get it? Because no one knew where it came from. And someone asked me today, did I feel like people thought I was crazy? I go, well, I was having so much fun that when it halted, when I couldn't remember my name, when I didn't know 2 + 2, and I didn't know what the anatomy of the human body was when I was a straight A student in high school and went to college on a scholarship, I knew I wasn't crazy. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden I wake up with 105 temperature, don't know my name, don't know my parents. I'm sick. They end up trying all these different therapies on me where all my veins collapse. They put a shunt in. I don't know how your story was because everyone's story when they get sick is different. I knew I wasn't crazy, but all I wanted was to go back to where I was and to figure it out. So my dad did something for me that I actually couldn't stand him at the time that he did this. I lost my eyelashes. I lost most of my hair through the therapies. All my veins collapsed. I couldn't go to the parties, right? I was in a sorority. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in bed. I don't want to get out of bed. My dad said to me, you're not going to feel sorry for yourself, and you're going to go back to school, and you're going to make the best grades you've ever made, and you are going to be fine, and you're not going to worry about what you look like, and you're going to be great.
And you were how old?
I was so upset with him, 19.
I bet you were.
And my mom was crying in the front seat. I still remember. I wonder if he remembers this conversation. And he told me, stop crying. You need to grow up. This is part of life. Life is a journey. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy, so now's the time to grow up. And I was so angry at him. I think it took me years to get over that, but I didn't. I just got out of bed when I had a fever, when I didn't feel like it, when I felt depressed, and I felt so ugly because they had put me on prednisone. I lost my hair. I mean, at an age, you know this, when you're 19, and at the time I had been attractive somewhat before that, and it's like, wait a minute, I've lost my brain, I've lost my personality, I've lost the way I look, but you know what? That's made me stronger. And then later I ended up finding out some of the stuff through pharmaceutical of maybe how it developed and everything.
Right, which is wild. And we will circle back to that, but I only for the first time heard that about Lyme disease about a month and a half ago from our doctor that we work with. So
really?
Absolutely crazy. I had no idea, but we will circle back to that. You have had such a journey with your health. So it starts with Lyme disease. And then how long after discovering that and going through treatment did you get cancer for the first time? And what type was it?
So I was 25 when I had my first son. And when I got pregnant, and I was sick, very sick during the pregnancy, and they said they thought it was a partial molar, which is when there were twins and one of the fetuses develops into like a type of cancer, right? Or actually, it's hard for them to explain it because it's very rare. So I'm like, I'm a scientist. I'm into education. I'm looking things up, trying to understand. Wait a minute, and I can't find anything. It was back before, now we can Google anything. So I really remember going to the library, trying to understand, trying to figure out. And in my mind, it clicked just instinctively because I believe we have this instinctual spirit. Like I think we're all spiritual in some way, and there's hidden inside of us is a code that we can unlock, that we know things that we won't accept, but we already know. I know that sounds really weird.
No, I'm with you.
Okay, I really believe this. Like it's in there, just you have to listen to it, right? Sure. So I remember thinking, am I sick because I had Lyme disease? Because I understood how Lyme disease worked and how it laid eggs and how it was in your body and how it communicated, thinking, well, if that's happening, it can cause cancer or autoimmune disorder.
So on Oldish, we talk a lot about what makes life better as you get older. Like the little comforts that make a big difference.
Yeah, we do. And for us, one of those simple joys is socks.
Socks.
But listen, not just any socks. Hear me out. You know this. Bombas socks.
Oh, Bombas are so good. I actually wore Bombas for the first time a few years ago on a trip, and I'd only bought one pair. And by day 2 after I wore them, I was literally hunting for more Bombas socks.
Yes, you were.
Oh, I believe that. So my Bombas moment was after this really long day on set. My feet were done. And I came home and I put on a new pair, and I swear it felt like a little foot hug.
Oh, a little foot hug.
It's a little foot hug. I ended up sitting on the couch for an hour just enjoying them.
Yeah, you did. But mine's a little bit more sentimental because I'm me. Yes. But I gave a bunch of Bombas socks as a gift one Christmas to my family, and they loved them so much that it's kind of become this little tradition for us. And one of the great parts about it is that I know that every pair of socks I buy, Bombas actually donates them to someone in need.
That is true.
So cool.
Yeah, they do. They've actually donated over 100 million items, I guess, socks, underwear, t-shirts to homeless shelters across the country. It's amazing how something so small can have such a big impact.
And they hold up. They really hold up. Mine have been through hikes and workouts and like lazy days. They're still cushy. They still look good.
Yeah, they still look good.
Yeah.
So if you want to treat your feet and help someone in need, go head to bombas.com and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. Bombas.com and use code AUDIO.
That's BOMBAS.com, code AUDIO.
This episode is brought to you by Dogfish Head Craft Brewery. The Grateful Dead and Dogfish Head have gotten the band back together with the release of Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale, a light-bodied pale ale brewed with sustainable Kernza grains, granola, and heaps of good karma for a refreshing brew that's music to your taste buds. Available nationwide. Visit dogfish.com to find Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale in your neck of the woods. Dogfish Head Craft Brewery is located in Milton, Delaware. Please drink responsibly.
And when I had Lyme disease, they also diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis. Imagine this at the age of 19.
Yeah, wild.
So I'm going to look just mangled, right? That didn't happen either, by the way. So I literally was like, I don't understand what I need to do or how I need to do it, but I know I'm going to come out of this. Like I know I'm going to figure out a way. And the more, and not to get off topic, but the more doctors told me what to do, the more I didn't want to do it. And instinctively in my inside, did the opposite of what they told me with Lyme disease. That I was so sick, you guys, for so long doing what they asked me to do that I woke up one day in college and said, I'm not doing it anymore. And I am going to go out to a party tonight and have a beer. Think about that. You're doing everything. You're on every medication. You have IVs in your arm. I'm going out. I'm going to have a beer, and I'm not taking any more prednisone. I know this. I don't want other people to do this, but what I did is I just said I'm not living this way. This sounds horrible to say, but that's not living to me. And so I fast forward. I'm pregnant. This happens, and then after my son was born, one child. There weren't two because of the partial molar. They found a pituitary prolactinoma, and they found it because I was leaking milk, tired, depressed, and I went to the doctor, and they said, she's got a pituitary prolactinoma, and it's pretty big, and we're going to have to do a surgery. And they said they'd have to go, there was two types that could go back, this is a while ago, I remember because I'm older, so they'd either have to go through my brain or my nose, and I could be blind or lose my memory or basically die, right?
Wow.
And because it was a new procedure too during that time, and I said, I'm not willing to do that. I want to wait 6 months, and I'm going to look up everything I can to figure out how I can do this differently. So I started studying Eastern medicine as well as Western, and studying how you can get rid of things in your body. And a lot of that to me was also meditation, focusing spiritually on what I wanted. Visualization. I believe in manifestation, and I really knew I was going to get out of that because I wanted to raise my son, and I didn't want to raise my son sick. Because another thing they told me is I couldn't have more children, and I have 4. And so I was determined not to follow this advice. And this is my big thing I tell everyone: you can't listen to someone else about your body. You can listen, or you can listen, but you need to listen to yourself too, right? So here I am, and I ended up, fast forward to today, now I've met so many people like Maria who have had Lyme disease, and then they get a brain tumor. There's a lot of people. We were just in my husband and I were in a meeting 2 days ago where I met another person, and they heard that interview, and they said, oh my gosh, that's my son. He had Lyme disease, and now he has this pituitary tumor. So it was interesting. And then from that, I got melanoma. I had serongomyelia, so a spinal tumor, basal squamous, and I've had stuff basically off and on, but I'm living. Do you know what I mean? Like I've worked in 92 countries. So when people say that you can't get better, you can. And I never judge people that take a traditional path, right? But for my inner soul, my spirit that I believe is how I was made, I heard very loudly, you're not going to live this way. You have a path in the future. You're going to focus on getting better, and then you're going to help others. And at the same time, I made a promise to give away 50% of what I made and to focus on helping people throughout the world find the answers. Because at the time, we didn't know if there was a research project in Malaysia, in the United States, and my husband and I are working on this with a group of people right now. I want the ability for every mother and father and every person in this world, if their child is sick or they're sick, and there's a treatment somewhere in the world, like in Abu Dhabi, they know instead of not knowing, right? And they can go to Abu Dhabi to get it. What people don't know about the medical and healthcare community, you're basing your diagnosis off of a person that's not perfect, and he's not God or she's not God. I'm not God, right? So when I understood, I've gone to a lot of schools. I've studied a lot. I've studied with extremely famous, intelligent people throughout the world. So if I don't know the answers and I'm not always right, how is a doctor that I'm going to go to going to tell me that I need to have a surgery that I instinctively think maybe I don't need it right now? So that kind of developed my mission for my life, and it still is. Because for me, it's like I want to do all these things, and this led me to business. So just so you guys know, at that age, so imagine being 19, then you're 26, and you start thinking, wait a minute, I'm never going to make a huge difference unless I start making money on my own, right? I've got to understand business. I need to make hundreds of millions of dollars in order for me to make changes in the world, and maybe even billions, right? So that led me to become a businesswoman.
It's so incredible because I think there are many people, right, that get given a diagnosis and a doctor says you need this and they say I don't want it, but they don't know how else to do it. Or
Right.
they say I don't want it and then they don't do the other work on the other side of it. It doesn't mean you're not going to do anything.
Right.
You got to
Right.
do something, but
Yes.
yes, listen to your body if it's saying to you, you don't need this, or try a different way and
Yes.
try something else. Talk to me about, so at what age did you end up working in Big Pharma, and how did you go from being in Big Pharma, this discovery of I don't
Yeah.
want to do what the doctor's telling me, to now being in this wellness space, and which is the complete opposite
Yes.
of what you started in? How
Yeah.
did that journey happen?
So through all of that, I started pursuing, I had my master's of science, and then I had my first doctorate degree in psychology. And I really started pursuing, what am I going to do? So I started working a lot with seriously, persistently mentally ill and with the government, and trying to figure out how do we help mentally ill people. Just trying to figure out different epidemiologies. Like I wanted to understand how, per diagnosis, what do I need to figure out during my lifetime to help people have healthier lives, right?
Was this tied at all? Was this somehow a reflection of what you had gone through? So these were kind of answers that you wanted for something new, but to sort of appease something in you at the same time? Like
Yes, it was. Because so my mom, like if anyone ever meets my parents, and she just embarrassed me the other day by talking about this, but she said I would ask why so many times that they honestly couldn't be around me. Like it was just too much. And my parents were intelligent, but I had a grandfather that had one of the highest IQs in this country, and he would sit me on the kitchen table and I could ask why for hours, right? And he would try to answer. So I had these whys. And one of my whys was, why did I grow up in this farming community where everyone keeps getting cancer and Alzheimer's? Why does everyone in my family have cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's? What is happening? That in a combination with what had happened to me. And I had a best friend and a roommate whose mother had breast cancer. And she said to me, I really believe, Christina, these things have happened to you because you're supposed to help. And I believe there are answers to cancer and autoimmune disorders, and we don't know them or they're not showing us. So that led me, because I had so much respect for her, and she's very smart. She's a amazing person. I listened to her. Her mother died while we were in college. And then I listened to what I was going through. All those whys led me to, you know what, maybe I should get in the pharmaceutical industry. Maybe I should start understanding what medication they've written for me. They've written for my family. That's why
I was wondering if it came out of what you were dealing with, where you were like, I want to start working with Big Pharma because I want better answers than the ones that are available now.
And I actually did not love Big Pharma. So this is something people don't know. I'm teaching in college. I was a graduate assistant. I worked with our government, working at research, right? So, but I was bored, if I'm honest. I mean, you could only do so much research at a desk.
Of course, right.
And I would get so bored. So I'm like, I need to understand more as quickly as possible. And so it was Pfizer. And back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember, Pfizer was a big deal. So when I was in my 20s, Pfizer was where if you wanted to go and be really high in the field of biotechnology. You were
living large.
You were living large too, right?
Yeah.
So I was in San Diego at the time, in LA, just so you guys know. And so I felt like this was an opportunity. A part of me felt like I was selling out. So if you think about it, I'm doing research, I was making like $18,000 a year, and then went to $35,000 with all those degrees. Then Pfizer offers me like this, and I turned it down. And then they were like, Christina, we really think if you take this entry position, we're going to move you over to science because of your background, and you'll be able to participate in medical marketing and science campaigns and then work on the science side. So I thought, wait a minute, this is a good opportunity for me to jump in and to learn. And at the time, Pfizer launched. So the year I was there, we launched Viagra, Zoloft, Trovan, Zithromax, Lipitor. I could go on and on.
Wow.
So I
you
was
were on the
moved.
dream team.
I was moved over to these other teams and worked on a team. Learned. I just loved it. Right. I really did. I thought they were geniuses at marketing. I also felt like, and I still do, Pfizer was one of the companies that was producing things that were helping humanity. The part that was hard for me, and I didn't realize this at Pfizer, just so you know, the side effects and the long-term use, if I didn't want to use it, then, and if I instinctively heard in my body, this is not good for long-term use, then maybe that applied to other people, right? And I believed, so I want to go back to how I felt. I believed I need to tell people the truth. I don't have time to lie, and I have to tell them the full truth. So through that journey in pharmaceutical, I was exposed to things like there's different projects where they put, maybe a Lyme disease in a tick or a flea in another country. Well, how would it end up here? I'm not saying it didn't end up here and it wasn't from a monkey, right? But let's be honest, viruses can be man-made. And everyone I think at this point knows that, right?
I think everyone does.
And you can make retroviruses and different things. The theory is you can utilize those to make people healthier, right? The problem is if you kill them during that process, to me, that's not helping humanity. And I think the majority of pharmaceutical companies aren't doing that. I think, unfortunately, there's been some things that have occurred that are not best for overall humanity. I think pharmaceuticals can save lives. I think biotechnology can save lives. Like when I had my last child, I had to have a C-section because they found the tumor in my spine. And so if I didn't have pharmaceuticals and biotech, I wouldn't have survived, right? So I always tell people that. I know both, but here's what I know. Whenever you have a company and it's just about money and it goes from health and wellness to power and money, we've lost, right? We understand if you have someone like Hitler and he's going out and hurting humanity. We don't understand when it has to do something that's just casually brought in. And so for me, it was a major turning point when I'm not going to name the company's name, but I went from different companies. They treated me fantastic. The CEOs and the presidents were great people, and I mean that. Good friends of mine, amazing. But there was a position that happened at one point where I had to either tell the truth or lie, and my decision was to leave because I did not want to be a whistleblower, and I didn't want to. I knew my mission. Does that make sense? So when you know your mission,
that was your truth.
You're strategically going to make the right decision because you know you have a greater good to accomplish.
For sure.
But it hit me, and after it hit me when that happened, I still remember where I was, what I was wearing, every single detail of when that happened. My heart broke a little bit, and I realized, and it had been a gradual process, if I'm honest. I had gradually gone up to the point where I was able to be in a position where they could say, "You have to say this, right?" in front of all these doctors. And if this fact isn't true, then if I say it in front of everyone, I'm lying and impacting humanity in a negative way. So I couldn't sleep because I had 4 kids. Knowing that I had to answer to them someday, I decided it was time to leave the industry. And it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made.
It has to be so hard because on your side of it, you're in there and you're seeing the magic of how much it can help.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you're seeing it just go down a road that you don't want it to. And that's, I know there's balance in everything and there's always going to be the light and the dark and the good versus evil, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's such a shame in an industry that's so powerful and can save so many lives and do so much good that it can be weaponized or used to simply just make money. And essentially, we hear now it's really just about keeping people sick. Unfortunately, that's what it feels like, right?
And I want to change that.
To say.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not necessarily a fact, it's an opinion, but it feels that way often. And it is a shame because I also had a C-section, and I know people that have absolutely benefited from big pharma and people that are thriving with it. But there are also those that question it and are made to feel crazy for doing so.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real shame. And I'd love to see that change too.
Thank you for saying that. I know you said you have kids. You have 4? Is that what
we have 4 at home. I have 1 biological and 3 bonus babies with this one.
So you know how much?
4 bonus babies. Well, 23. So he's not a baby.
I didn't get to mother him.
Well, I still think of him as a baby.
Yeah.
Listen, mothers,
so
I know it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
I want to make that change. For me, I want us to make the change because here's the fact. You can't do it with one person. Like I say this all the time, I'm one piece, right? You got to get people together. People are scared though, right? I always say, I'm not sure if people are born bad, right? I think it's a gradual process. We're brainwashed. Our pineal glands aren't working. We can't connect. And we're taught not to even learn about pineal glands because who cares about spirituality? But the issue is we're all energy and frequency. So if we don't spend time and care about that, what are we going to do? And if we leave our children a world worse than when we came into this world, what are we thinking?
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Buying a car shouldn't eat up your week. That's why Carvana made it convenient. Car buying that fits around your life, not the other way around. You can get pre-qualified for an auto loan in just a couple of minutes and browse thousands of quality car options, all within your terms, all online, all on your schedule. Turn car buying into a few clicks and not a full week's endeavor. Finance and buy your car at your convenience on Carvana. Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox is on Hulu. In 2007, Amanda Knox was studying abroad in Italy. She had no idea her dream would turn into a nightmare. Inspired by the actual events of her wrongful conviction and 15-year fight for freedom, watch the new Hulu original series, The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox. Now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
Like, we know our land, air, and water is dirty. We know that there's toxins. If uranium goes off in a country, it doesn't just impact that country. It's impacted all of us. Uranium and heavy metals don't leave the stratosphere. So we're all being impacted by every war, by every bomb, by everything that happens. And I'm not judging governments. I'm just saying it's a fact. So what are we going to do? We have to start with our bodies, our wellness, and clean it up. The problem is if you give yourself a pharmaceutical or multiple, like some people are on 14 to 17 pharmaceuticals, wow. The side effect profile of that, when you already have a body that you're trying to clean and detox so you can live longer and be healthier and be happier, right? You give yourself more trash that your body can't process because our bodies weren't made to take all these microplastics and these synthetics. We weren't made to handle all this. And that's why when people say, well, a couple 100 years ago or 100 years ago, the bladder and the kidneys detox the body. Well, guess what? We have more pollution now. And we can pretend like it's not real, and we can hide our heads in the sand because we don't want to, let's be honest, we don't want to deal with it. But I decided that if I was going to be here, I'm going to deal with it.
Yeah, there are definitely two types of people. There's more than two, but there are those that see it and go, no, we're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think a vast majority of people go, no, too hard, not going to look. If it's not there and I can't see it,
Right.
it doesn't exist, it won't affect my lifetime, you know, whatever it is, I'm in my
Catalysts
bubble.
can be
it doesn't
hard
matter.
sometimes, man. Like they really, it's hard when you go through stuff and you go, okay, I'm either going to stay on this road and possibly be alone on it for a little while and face a bunch of walls and a bunch of no's and a bunch of people turning their heads away and walking away, or I'm going to just do something that everybody agrees with. But the end result is what you care about. And that seems like where you're moving constantly, but that can be a incredibly lonely road.
Has it been a lonely road for you? Was it very difficult to go on this path and change people's mind and start this movement that you've created?
Yeah, and I think that's hard for me to say because people see me around people all the time and in environments. To me, it's. I hate saying that sounds weak, but to me, Clayton's looking. I have a wonderful husband, and he's there. He's amazing, and I think that made me, because we were on the same health mission. Do you know what I mean? That's how we connected. Honestly, we were on the same mission. We have different approaches because you need different approaches, right? You can't, here's what people think. They think it's a medical doctor or a scientist. The truth is, no, we're all connected. So you have an answer I don't have, and that's what I understand very strongly. You have a piece to the puzzle that I don't have, which is why we're all in this world together to work together, but we've closed ourselves off, right, in these boxes. You're an actress or a dancer or an artist or a scientist. No. I may learn something from you during a conversation scientifically because that's my background that I would never have caught until I met you. But it became lonely for me. I'll tell you how it became lonely. Going, this sounds horrible, but like I have friends. I have a fashion brand. We have different brands. The fashion brand protects against the environment, nuclear waste, all that stuff. But the truth is, do I want to talk about fashion all day? Here's my answer to you all, no. Like I would feel lonely because I have a pressing thing I want to accomplish. I'm smart enough to understand, just like you are, that means I need to be on podcasts or be on different discussions so we can connect and make changes. Where I became lonely was I didn't want to just talk about nothing all day. And sometimes I would walk into environments and the talk, I would lose interest because I really feel like we are on a time clock right now. And if you really think about it, you had a pandemic Then you have a lot of natural disasters. Then you have economic crisis, which is not going to change for a while. And it's not just this country. Again, 92 countries. I'm working with prime ministers and presidents and diplomats. It's everywhere, right? So there's a time clock for me. And it's not just the time clock that I almost died and I had cancer and I had Lyme disease. It's a time clock of there's only so many days in your life. And I am actually a people pleaser. So I like to make people happy. So I think the turning point for me was I can't make everyone happy. I just have to do the mission. And hopefully I'll help as many people as possible. And then gain, and I have a network of friends that are from all different kinds of professions, but we all really want to make positive changes. And I think the key to that is not giving way to fear. Does that make sense? Because I almost think fear is worse than evil. I know that sounds crazy, but you become so stagnant.
Fear can derail everything.
Yeah.
For sure.
Fear paralyzes.
Yeah.
It paralyzes. It paralyzes you. I think the creatives of the world, and this isn't just what I think, I know historically, your creatives of the world have saved countries and saved the world. People don't realize
They're
that.
the risk takers.
They're the risk takers. They don't fit in the box. They didn't read a textbook and say, I believe everything and I'm going to follow all this.
Opposite.
And that's the opposite. And that's where I feel like we are making major changes with people that aren't scientists, but they have a bigger footprint than I do. And you're right. I don't get jealous of a lot because I know each person is so important. I would like to sleep more, and I would
jealous of a nap. But,
I would like, but I think each person is so important. And like I met you guys, I can tell immediately with your energy and your frequency, you're vibrating at a higher frequency. And this is a fact. Like when you understand music, you understand the different frequencies and intervals. My mother was a classical pianist and cellist, so she taught me that at a young age. But people also have a frequency. And I think we're forgetting that. And your people of a higher frequency need to work together so they can make impactful changes to this world.
They're the healers of the world.
They are. People think the healers are someone that passed a test in school, and that's just not the reality.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what can help people start finding that like true vibration is really dealing with where they've come from, what their past was, and really putting it in their past. So they're then living day to day, moving forward in a different way. Like one of the first things that came to mind when I was talking to you about Lyme disease and everything you were dealing with when you were younger was, I dealt with all of this neurological stuff in my early 40s. And a lot of it was emotional.
I remember, yeah. I know a lot of people didn't know, but I read that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that was hard because neurological, and we know now that one out of every 5 children will be born with a neurodegenerative or cognitive neural issue, right? Because we're dealing with, and I tell people this all the time, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty when you're obese. Don't feel guilty when you have depression, anxiety, or neurological issue. It's because there's so much trash in your body. You've got to clean it out.
Right.
It really, your microbiome is controlling. I wish I could show you guys what it's like to look at the human body and see the parasites and the fungus and the bacteria and the viruses living together in the body from the day you're born. And when that gets off kilter and there's too much of that is when the body starts having mental health issues, cognitive function issues, autoimmune disorders. And I feel like even if you give yourself a shot or you give yourself medication that you shouldn't, that can make that go off balance. So I would love to hear more about that because I know that journey had to be hard for you.
Yeah, that was 4.5 years of recovery for me. I had to deal with it. They were stroke-like symptoms without ever having a stroke. So I had 2 MRIs. I had no physical just looking at it, you couldn't see anything that was going on with me. And it was slow moving. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and all of a sudden it was all gone. It just became this, I started noticing oversteering when I was driving, slurring words here and there and it just gradually became something to the point where I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't write, I couldn't read. I had such brain fog that I reintroduced my best friend of 30 plus years to my sister who had also known him for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Because they were in the room together.
Because you just didn't know.
And I was like, oh, Scott, have you met my sister Lorelai? And he looked at me like, and that was, looking back on that story now, it's funny. We talk about catalysts, and as hard as that situation was for me, I wouldn't change it for anything now, because now when I speak to people, I have a better understanding of mental illness, mental disease, like what it is you can go through, and the fact that it's so far beyond your control.
It's not a choice.
It's not a choice.
You're not just not paying attention.
But before I've gone
Literally.
through that, I used to, oh, you're depressed, so just be happy. Like, I don't understand what, it's that simple. Like, it's just change the way you're thinking. And it's
that
like,
makes
it's
me
not
so
that
upset when
simple at
people
all.
say that to people. I have a,
But how,
they don't know any different.
Do you know, though? How do you know unless you either studied the way you did because you cared so much to dive deep into it, or you've gone through it so you can relate yourself to it?
You don't know.
How can people understand?
We're very lucky to have a doctor who is very in tune with how to clear trash out of the body. He does amazing things with PEMF beds and his adjustments and kinesiology and supplements and cleanses and detoxes, all sorts of, and diet, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's what cured Bri. He had every major best in the country looking at his gut, looking at his brain.
Couldn't diagnose
figure
anything.
It out. Yeah. Until he finally went to this guy and he's like, well, it's inflammation that's started in your gut and it's now in your brain.
It's inflammation.
Yeah, because
it's all sorts of things.
it shares your microbiome, it's sharing with your heart and with your brain.
I had
try to explain
ulcerative
that to
colitis,
people.
then I had vertigo, and then all of a sudden I had this. So it was like everything was just building and leading itself up
and
to that.
shutting down.
And he knew right away. He was like, oh, it all starts in the gut. Like, you had issues going there.
Yeah, but probably your other doctors were like, you're crazy.
They had no idea.
I want to put him on medication for ulcerative colitis and X, Y, and Z. And
I had
you
over
didn't let
170 blood tests, and they were like, oh, there's nothing. We don't know what's going on. Good luck. And I was like, what do you mean good luck? Like, I'm an actor. I can't read. I can't. I started in getting back to it in rehabbing. I was reading Dr. Seuss books to my kids.
Yeah.
At bedtime, because Dr. Seuss books are just for anybody in a great state of mind. They're difficult to read. So I was like, oh, this is going to set me up to be, a magician.
I never got everything back. Like, my brain thinks differently now than it did before. I used to have like a photographic memory. I would remember everything. I never studied in high school for a test. I didn't have to work at anything. I didn't understand people having to work at something. Like, if I worked, we grew up on a farm, but I didn't work like at learning. I would just show up and take the test. Do you know what I mean? Because if I could look at something and remember it, then of course I can take a test.
Right.
After Lyme disease, I never got that back. I got what was called a eidetic memory, which means I could put pieces together and remember. And it's really weird. I can figure out a complex situation or equation that if you ask me, how did I figure it out? I know the answer, and the computer's going to, I just don't know. But I lost. And for a long time I mourned. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but it's like a gift of acting or dancing.
I get it.
I was so sad I lost that, because my life was so much easier with that piece, and I don't have it anymore. I don't know if yours came back.
It's a different way, though. No, so I completely agree with you, and I ended up doing a show, the show Special Forces, for just that reason, because I was like, I want to do something to see how much I've actually gotten back, how much I've lost because of what I went through, how much I've lost just because of age and just you lose it. And so I needed to do something that really put me to the test. That was like, we're going to ask everything of you and see what you're capable of doing. And it's funny, it used to, like, when I was younger acting, it was easy for me to remember scenes and dialogue and very specific things. Now I paraphrase most of what I do because I have a different way of reading and understanding things.
Yeah.
So I don't have a memory that is word perfect anymore.
That's interesting, because I'm the same way.
And
I will
for me
come
to
up
be
with
word perfect is just, it's like pulling teeth. Like it takes me days for my brain to really remember things. Our business manager changed her business address, and that's whenever we're buying anything, you have to put down your billing address, and we couldn't remember it. Forever.
I think I just learned it. It's been a year.
The old business address, like, I remembered right away. It was easy, and that was simple. To this new one, I was like, I just cannot wrap my brain around this. So I kept writing the old one until finally I figured out some like random pattern where it was like, oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So my brain just works differently than it did before. Like, I've really tried to not label it as like, oh, it's malfunctioning or it doesn't work as well. It's just rewired. It works in a different way. And I'm now finding peace in that and going, okay, because the brain that I have now couldn't possibly do what it can do now back then.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I wouldn't have done because I had such a good memory that I could pass any test. Do you know what I mean? And it was so easy for me. So I could go out and be out till 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and go in and walk in a classroom and ace it. There's no way after that happened to me. Like I couldn't, but I believe I wouldn't have looked for all these answers. I wouldn't have gone on this journey at all.
Catalysts, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
It takes those experiences sometimes. You look back on them and you go, oh, the silver, like, I wouldn't change that for the world. But when you're going through, you're like, why the hell am I going through this? 100%. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. No, and you were probably like me. I didn't have anyone to talk to. So you asked me about being lonely, about being on this journey for science. Back then when I just remember there was no one to talk to. You guys, most people don't want to hear when you have a health problem. Right. And then when a doctor can't diagnose it, they think you're crazy or that you've lost your mind. I mean, you know that. It's so interesting. Human beings want a diagnosis and then they want everyone to understand and fit in that box. I don't know if you guys know this, but diagnosis, like when a doctor gives a diagnosis, it's based on a series of tests and an estimated guess. Oh, yeah. So for example, with cancer, it's an abnormal cell, right? That's doing different things. So in my mind, when I was diagnosed with different types of cancer, then I need to talk to the cancer cells. So this is a weird thing I do. I still have issues with different things. I need to talk to heal, right? So I need to tell it. And I will even imagine like I'm sitting in a healer to heal. And it's a different approach.
It's very Joe Dispenza.
Yeah. That's manifesting. That is like your body, your mind truly believing that this is what I need to do. I need to believe that there is somebody or some power or something that is going to fix these things. I just need to help them along with this process. I noticed though, when I was going through what I was going through, I wanted a diagnosis, but I also wanted to disappear. Like I was so self-conscious. I didn't want people to notice that something was off about me or different from me. So I was like, I'm just going to sit in a room and just work until this goes away, and I can then fool people when I'm back out, in the world again. Yeah. But then I had to rebuild that. I had to rebuild my self-confidence, which came finally, and I swear I think a lot of it came because of the way my brain is wired now. Yeah. I have a new self-confidence in how I think and I work.
I agree with. How long did that? So I'm looking back at my life. I've never thought about this until you just brought that up. It was 4.5 years of recovery for me. Yeah, because I had Lyme disease my sophomore year, and I would say I hit my stride. Like I recovered and was feeling better and feeling confident. And I'm like you. I felt like I even changed to be even better than I was before. But it took me about 4 years because I was in graduate school when I remember thinking, gosh, life is really great. Everything's really easy. And then I got pregnant and this happened again. Mm-hmm. And that's when I think because I had been through everything else. And when you have Lyme disease, you're depressed. You just want to sleep all the time. You can't think. I mean, same symptoms actually than you're talking about.
And a lot of people, at the point when I was first going through what I was going through, everybody was saying, "Well, have you checked for Lyme disease? Like, is that?" And I did all the tests, and everything came back negative, and it was like, "No, it's not coming back as Lyme disease." I don't know if the testing was.
But let me tell you this, I hate to say this because doctors, if they hear this, are going to get upset with me. But there's just this cycle, right? So you have to put everything kind of in control. It's kind of like being a mother and managing all the kids. I feel like we've been lied to and we've bought into it. And I feel like our pineal glands and our world, we're not seeing the reality. But think if you're not, I'm just going to say this, think if you're not an important person in the world view, or you don't have money, or you're just going, you have no hope.
I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that you don't have to navigate life alone. If there's something hard that you're dealing with or you're just ready for a change, then reach out to me at randyspelling.com or you could DM me on Instagram, also at Randy Spelling. And if I can help you, I will. If there's a resource that I can share with you, I will also do that as well. Thanks.